A long, long time ago in a galaxy not so far away, I told all of you that Little Mermaid was being positioned in order to create unnecessary conflict within Western society. There is no reason for people to dislike each other, to hate each other, to be divided. And yet a corporation has determined that that is the best marketing tract for a film aimed at small children, families with little girls. And today we're going to untangle that, look at the early reviews as well as some rather disgusting commentary from one commentarian. And we're going to discover what lies beneath that we all should avoid. All right, folks, we are here to explain entertainment and keep you ahead of the culture curve. And boy, is it a culture curve that we need to tackle today. We're doing so in order to try to make the world a better place. Please know that is the primary motive here. We want to help you be a peaceful person who understands what is being lobbied at you. There will be opportunities for corporations, for access and legacy media types to all divide you and make you dislike others for reasons that are absolutely superfluous. And our job is to say, no, we would like a better society, please. And at least if you're going to try to divide us, come up with something better than a Little Mermaid movie. Joining us to help in this endeavor is the fabulous Lorena Creole, who I don't want to be too extreme. I want to be nuanced and very light on what I have to say here. But if you're not yet subscribed to her, you really need to question every single streaming habit you have. It's just a small thing, just a small thing. Lorena, welcome back to the channel.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me back, Pro. I appreciate it.
And we also need to say a special thanks to Lorena because I messed up the scheduling for this video and she is staying up rather late in comparison to when she had anticipated doing this. And so we owe her even more gratitude for sticking with us for this video. She is going to provide truly invaluable insight into what we're discussing. And let's get straight into that discussion now.
All right.
Folks, as we do, if you like content like this, consider clicking the like button, share, subscribe, and you can stick it to the algorithms. When you click it, we're talking about that notification bell. Here we go. DailyMail.com by Callum Wells for Mail Online. The Little Mermaid receives mixed reviews from critics who praise Halle Bailey's performance as Ariel, but claim the live-action remake can't escape its animated legacy. Now, as we go into this, please note that the individuals who have already seen the film were granted special access to do so. And what that means is that those individuals have a vested interest in going to do more of this in the future. They want more early access opportunities because it helps their business. You might call this a quid pro quo, although perhaps you might not, and you might say, oh, no, pro, it's not at all. They're being completely unbiased and objective. I tend to not agree with that, but everybody is free to have their own opinion. But let's just say that there's a chance here for the early thoughts, the early receptions to go in a particular direction. And I think that's part of the entire industry and has been for decades, and I just understand that. But everybody's free to think their own thing on this. Here's the article. The Little Mermaid remake has received mixed reviews from critics following its world premiere in Los Angeles on Monday. Clarification, there are no full reviews out. These are early thoughts that they have been allowed to put out there. However, full reviews are embargoed. A live-action reproduction of the 1989 animation, Disney's latest film, is expected to make a big splash when it debuts over the U.S. Memorial Day weekend. Current projections show the blockbuster pulling in $110 million, which, by the way, folks, would be less than Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, and Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 is considered a lackluster box office performance. So just keep that in mind. And that is over a 4-day opening weekend as opposed to the 3-day opening weekend that Guardians had. Again, not good. And while some experts claim it was close to being the best live-action Disney movie while praising Halle Bailey's performance on Ariel, others insisted it can't escape its animated legacy. Felicia Wade from Discussing Film wrote on Twitter, it makes it pretty close to being the best live-action Disney movie. However, it still struggles in the villain department. Uh-oh, that's not good for our new Ursula. Lorena, you had some concerns about that Ursula. Is this making you feel any better about it?
Not at all.
Miss McCarthy has big tentacles to fill.
Yes.
All right, let's finish this out. Halle Bailey is Ariel, and I had literal chills throughout her performance. This is Little Mermaid retelling like you've never seen before. And I will agree that Halle Bailey's singing is fantastic. I would say I wish Disney had originally, when all of this stuff started and their marketing that I think has been atrocious started, I wish they had just said, this isn't about race at all. She's the best singer we had. She's the best. And that's why she's the mermaid. And then everybody would have said, oh, cool. So
yeah, because she has a gorgeous voice. Beautiful voice.
Exactly. Eric Davis of Fandango and Rotten Tomatoes agreed Disney's Little Mermaid is definitely one of the better live action adaptations. But let's get to some of these that are less than. And remember that they are inclined to give this as good an early review as possible. It's good for the industry. It's good for business. It's good for keeping those early access opportunities from companies. After all, think about it. Companies don't want to invite you back to their next screening, their next very early access preview. If you're going to go out there and talk badly about their movie, they might accept it once or twice, especially if it's a horrendous film, but it's not in their business interest to do that. So, but here's what people are saying. Kirsten Acuna from Insider wasn't so impressed, tweeting, The Little Mermaid is filled with a few great performances from Halle Bailey and Melissa McCarthy, but it's a mostly paint-by-numbers remake that isn't as good as the animated masterpiece. Simon Thompson, who writes for publications including Forbes and Variety, said, endearing but uneven. The Little Mermaid doesn't deliver the magic of the animated classic, but there are plenty of creative touches from Rob Marshall to float the audience's boats. This isn't looking too good, because we would anticipate to see almost unanimous praise out of these people whose livelihoods depend on praising films such as this. So, Lorena, what is going on here with The Little Mermaid so far?
Well, it is underwhelming. The original animated version is classic, beloved. The songs are infectious. And even with the trailer, it's itself one of the best and most poignant musical numbers is when Ariel is singing Part of Your World, where she longs to be part of the human world and is just heartbroken, and she just knows that that's not possible for her. But we feel that in her singing, we feel that with the animation, we feel that with the music and everything. And in the trailer, Halle Berry's singing is beautiful.
Tremendous. She is a tremendous vocalist.
Tremendous singer, but it's not directed well. Her singing is great. Her singing is excellent, but we don't feel Ariel's longing.
Floral, it's time for you to walk the plank.
What? Why?
Because you haven't subscribed to WDW Pro yet. Nor bookmark thatparkplace.com on your web browser to get great articles from great contributors.
What?
That's true. Yes, and it's not allowed.
No.
I think that's. Do you think that's true? I feel like it's not her performance per se. It's not as if she made a creative decision to remove that aspect, that emotionalism that's in the singing. But it's like it's the moment of our time where a young woman is not allowed to demonstrate weakness in that way. And I don't perceive that to be weakness, but I think it could be perceived as such.
I never have, and I was one of those girls who I loved the original Hans Christian Andersen story. I read that over and over again. Loved the Little Mermaid animated feature, and every time I saw that part, I understood that about wanting to be part of something that you know you're never going to be part of, but you're fascinated with it, and while you want it so badly, you're just heartbroken that you can't have it. And that kind of tinge of, if it was possible for me to get it, I would do it in a heartbeat. And that doesn't show weakness at all. I never felt that as a young girl. If anything, it was just like, wow, to want something like that and feel so heartbroken. You know, the thing you want, but you can't have it. It's like a common, I want to say a very universal theme that I would say.
Yes, it's an archetypal story.
Exactly. We want what we cannot have, which is the crux of this whole story by Hans Christian Andersen. If you read the original, and that's
even more heartbreaking, that story.
Oh yeah, and a lot more gangster. But I tell people,
absolutely. But you know so I think that's one reason that the original animated film resonates so deeply, even until today, with young women and others all over the planet. I mean, you have to respect what it did. You know, you have to respect that this is something that had a profound psychological impact on so many, and that Ariel is a hero for so many. Talking about the original version of this character out of Disney. Perhaps that's an oxymoron considering it's not the original version of Ariel per se, but you get the drift. But it's the call to adventure, and it's specifically the feminine hero archetype call to adventure, where a longing to go into a world that is foreign to you and to explore it and to take control over it in terms of being proficient in this place that you're unfamiliar with. And I'm reminded also that there's another film that explores the other side of this, the masculine side of it. And it also resonates deeply with people, that being, and this, talk about a strange reference, but this is it. It's a Wonderful Life. George Bailey is the masculine version of that. He wants to go on adventures, and he can't. He never can leave. I believe it's Bedford Falls is the name of the little town he lives in.
Yes.
But he can never leave it. And but those stories are told differently. Of course, George Bailey, you know, he comes to terms with staying in the place that he is in and realizing the impact he's having. Ariel does take proficiency and makes her domain, advances her domain in the world, so that now she is a master of both the sea and the land, and a master of relationships. And so, you know, it's a fantastic story from both of those movies.
Mm-hmm.
Now, where I want to, well, before we go to the commentator, Grace Randolph, and I don't like to call people out. I don't like to be negative. And I know that everybody needs second chances, third chances, fourth chances. We all make mistakes. And Grace's name is Grace. We all need that. But we do need to call out something she said, because it's dangerous. And we want to not be dangerous in this world. Before we go to that topic, though, you and I both have seen the scene where they have Kissed the Girl, the song, and it's the boat and all of that. And we need to talk about this before we get to this commentary that's out there, because I am concerned that people will have real reason to not like this film. And I am concerned that the real reasons to not like this film will then be castigated as something far more insidious than just saying, that movie's not for me. What's your take on that scene so far, Lorena?
Number one, it's extremely dark, like you can't see it. And I've seen plenty of movies with night scenes that are shot, and the color, you know, saturation is vibrant enough where you're not squinting, kind of like, I can't really make out, you know, what's going on. So you have that visual aspect. The music is okay, but you don't get that sense of urgency.
Well, did you? My take on the music was that I definitely did not like this version, even remotely as close as the original, because the little animals singing pulled me out of this big time. They are nowhere even close to the original Sebastian and etc.
No.
Did it pull you out as well?
It did, because in the original, Sebastian, well, first of all, Sebastian was like, okay, we got to get, you know, Eric to kiss the girl. And he's setting the proper mood, and he's getting like the frogs to sing and the crickets to chirp, and it's all orchestrated and it's all harmonious.
He's a magic maker.
Exactly. He is a true maestro, because that's what he was, you know, under the sea. That was his job. So that's what he did.
And you know what else, Lorena? Sebastian is sort of like the Barney Fife character, right? He always thinks that he is the expert, but he's the bumbling little the fool character, right? And so he's trying to set them out. That's the fun of it, is that he thinks he is Mr. Magic Man. He is Mr. Suave, right?
Right.
The little crab who knows how love works. And that's the fun of it. And it's just kind of missing now in this.
Yeah, it's that part in your traditional romantic comedy, like you say, you know, like the Barney Fife character. Like, okay, I know what I'm doing. I know what to do to get these two people, you know, together. And it's such wonderful energy. And that whole scene had just such a lovely, a lovely setting where it's kind of like, okay, Eric, you kind of know you need to, kiss the girl, but it's very subtle what's going on, because it's obvious the two were like attracted to each other. She can't talk, so he's trying to figure out a different kind of way to communicate with her. But that lighthearted, romantic feeling is completely absent in this live action version. It's like as if there's some kind of problem about a young man and a young woman being attracted to each other.
Well,
For some reason, that's
we're
wrong
all
now.
in big trouble. We're
Yeah,
all
we're
in big
crazy
trouble if
town
that's
now.
wrong. We've got serious troubles ahead if being attracted to one another is going to be a problem. Let's just say the number of kids around is going to drop. So,
Oh yeah.
all right, Lorena, let's go into something then that is spicy and unpleasant, but needs to be addressed. And when somebody out there with influence, somebody who has almost 1 million subscribers and is getting hundreds of thousands of views, when they say something that I think actually puts us into a more dangerous territory, that's when it needs to be addressed. But I do want to give Grace Randolph the benefit of the doubt. She's over there on the Beyond the Trailer YouTube channel. She's been doing this for a very long time. When you do this for a very long time, you say a lot of things. And it's possible that she just misspoke. It's possible that she doesn't fully mean this, that she was inarticulate. Maybe she'll come back and address it, or maybe she means it, and she can have her own retort to what we say. But here's what she said, and I find this to be worrisome. She went and saw the preview. And at 12:15 in the video that is linked in the description of this video, so that everybody can go watch it and see that she said this exactly verbatim. Here is her quote exactly. Grace Randolph says, "But with this Little Mermaid, if anyone is hating on this, it's a reflection on them and not the film itself." And what she is saying there is that if you dislike this film, and I don't know what the line is for her between hating on something and disliking something. I don't know what that line is. But if you dislike the film to such a degree that she determines it's hating on the film, quote unquote, then you're a bad person. It reflects on you poorly, because apparently now, if a movie features people of a particular background, then you lose your ability to critique the art. And that is the underlining serious issue that needs to be addressed. We do not want to get to a place where we lack the ability to critique art and products for fear that we will be labeled something very negative. And it also puts us in an extremely strange place. For example, Lorena, if you dislike the film, if you're quote unquote hating on the film, what in the world does that say about you? Or because of your background, because of your ancestry, does Grace Randolph believe that you get a special pass? I don't know what the rules are for this. So walk me through why you think this is insidious, or if I'm wrong, tell me that.
No, you're not wrong. Grace Randolph has made comments in the past that I've noticed, kind of with the I would say with the emphasis on, oh, well, if you're just hating on this, it's because, and I'm just paraphrasing here, you have a problem with it just because the person depicted on screen is a different race. Now, there is a difference between hating on something just to hate on something. You can be an equal opportunity hater, no matter what it is on the on
you
the
could be
screen.
a serial cynic.
Yes, that's okay, because everyone is fair game as far as that's concerned. But what I do not like, and I will call this out exactly what it is, I don't appreciate this soft bigotry of low expectations. That
Sure.
is what aggravates me, because there are too many people in Hollywood, we'll use of color because that's the nomenclature, who've worked very hard to get where they are. And their work holds up. But now you want to say, oh, don't criticize this because, the actress is Black, or there's actors in that are Black. And if you're disagreeing with it, or you don't like something, then there's a problem. Now, there's a difference. Now, if you are making a legitimate criticism about what is going on, that doesn't make you a hater. I don't like the fact that somehow this type of film is above criticism just because the race of the lead character happens to be Black. That's soft bigotry of low expectations. So a little bit of things about my background. Obviously, Lorena Creole. My family has been in the Caribbean ever since Columbus set foot in it. I have African ancestry. I have Native American ancestry from like the Yucatan. I have, Caucasian ancestry, French, Spanish, English, Dutch, even Norwegian as well. All of them were in the Caribbean. And I just really find this insidious. I do.
Well, I find we greatly oversimplify our own ancestries, and I love the complexity of your ancestry. I love the beauty of the humanity that has been imparted to you through all of these different backgrounds. People are messy. Our ancestors have made mistakes, and they've made beautiful, wonderful things, and it's all mixed in there. And even inside each one of us, we have things where we rise to our full potential at times, on occasion in our life, and it's beautiful when we do so. And we have times that we look back and go, I really regret that moment. I made a bad mistake. And when we turn these things into abstracts, where it's just good, bad, and nothing in between, we really lose the flavor of humanity and just how complex and special it is. But I want to ask you also, in your opinion, when did this start? Because as you were talking, I was thinking about films by Denzel Washington. You don't have to defend Denzel Washington. You don't have to put a category before him and say, oh, he's one of the best Black actors in Hollywood. No, you can simply say he's one of the best ever, period. And you don't have to go out there and say, if you hate a Denzel Washington movie, then you are such and such, because it doesn't happen. Almost everybody out there knows he's fantastic. And we could go through a list of other actors of African descent to some percentage or to the full degree. And we could list off people who are amazing, who they never had to have this happen. You never had to say, well, if you hate the Chicago Bulls in the 90s, you're a hater because you don't like Michael Jordan, because, it's like, you don't have to defend, people who are fantastic in that way. So when do you think this all changed in Hollywood and they started doing this new defense mechanism?
I think they started doing this when Hollywood decided to go after this fake diversity, because back when they didn't care, they weren't really paying that much attention to a lot of predominantly Black films. They would cast actors, of course, like Denzel, Lawrence Fishburne, like, the greats, because their
Will Smith before he made the mistake.
Yeah, exactly. Even Don Cheadle, although I do not like him as Rhodey at all. I will go on record saying that. But some point in time, Hollywood saw how much of a draw these Black actors were pulling in, especially considering how much money they were making. And it's like, oh, let's just do quote unquote diversity. We'll just put anybody up there and just say, hey, isn't this great? We're going to race swap this rather than make something original. Isn't this great? Aren't we great people? We're going to pat ourselves on the back.
Exactly.
Aren't we
yes.
good to all of you minorities? This is great. We just put them up there, and you should be happy, to get this. And then when the product is subpar, their defense mechanism is to take those very minorities that they prop up and say, you know what, if you don't like this, you're racist, you're you're a phobe, you're misogynist, whatever, shame on you. They'll have the actors do the hostage videos and everything. And it's so disgusting and messy, but that's what happened. It got to a point in Hollywood where they figured, okay, well, Will Smith or whatever makes all this money. We'll just cast some other blackface. We'll put it in there, and that should be enough. And it's not. and now the chickens are coming home to roost with that. So their
they've
defense
canceled the dislike
mechanism.
button on YouTube now, right? You can't use some of these extra extensions to try to find out how disliked it is. And I think that's related probably to the Little Mermaid. They're in full defense mode here.
They are, because that trailer was downvoted into the Stone Age. I mean, I had never seen. I'd seen some bad downvoting, but that was just insane. People aren't fooled. It would be one thing if it was done with the same heart and soul as the original, or give it the Mary Poppins treatment. You have, the human world, and then you have animation that's brought in that kind of blurs the lines between the two. But what's been missing in most of the live action remakes, and especially evident with this one, is that the soul is missing. You can try to do paint by numbers all you want from animation to live action, but the reason why people love the animation was because of the universal theme of it all, how it hit you on an emotional level, and the animation was just a tool to tell the story.
Absolutely. Now, I think one of the reasons they're getting nervous is because most of their live actions have been making $1 billion. This one, if they had just marketed it in the correct way and produced a competent product, regardless of who was cast as Ariel, I think it would have made $1 billion. It no longer looks like it's going to do that, and I think they're freaking out a little bit. So all hands on deck over at Disney and around the industry, as they all realize that this cash cow is coming down, that they have damaged the golden goose. Yet another. They had many of these golden geese, and they just continue to scramble those eggs. But Lorena, I want to go to something, and I've talked about this, I think, almost every time I've mentioned Little Mermaid. It's where we'll wrap up our conversation. Let's put aside Grace's comments. So perhaps Grace Randolph misspoke. Perhaps she was just inarticulate. We all need grace in our lives, so we'll extend that to her in hopes that one day we receive it when we make a mistake. But that said, the part of this that I hate the most, and it's why I go back to it over and over, is because I think this is the most damaging part, and this really bothers me. I am concerned that we are going to come to a point now where we're going to have sort of this societal conversation, conflict, artificial division between people over this mermaid. I think the access media, the legacy media, and especially the clickbait culture, that this is going to draw in a lot of emotion, a lot of views if you just amp this up. But what bothers me is that I don't think that society at large views young women of African descent, however we want to categorize that, Black, African American, whatever words we want to use, people of color. But I don't think that society at large at this point, at least in the Western world, views little girls of that nature in a negative way, or that we want them to be unsuccessful. My fear is that all of this is going to cause little 7-year-old, 8-year-old, and 9-year-old girls to be manipulated into thinking that society didn't go watch this movie because they don't want to see people like me be Ariel. And that bothers me, that a corporation has made this decision that puts us in this place where it's going to cause little girls to feel something that I don't think is actually reflective of where we are in history. Can you address that? And also, as you do, think about the little girls in your life, and what advice would you give to parents to help them navigate this if this does rise to that level where there are articles everywhere and videos and TikToks, and God knows it'll be on TikTok, that's almost at that propaganda level, telling people that this failed because of isms?
Wow, that is an excellent question, especially as I have some young nieces who are like under the age of 10, and my sister has already said she's not taking them to see this particular film for that exact reason that you were mentioning. The way they have it set up, it's like this movie failed because no one wanted to see a Black girl play Ariel. And no, that's not. And no, that's not the. That's not the case. So one of the things that I do suggest is, girls that are feeling this way, and especially if you decide to take your child to see this movie, have a discussion with them. Show them all the positive women and young girls that are doing things. Not
Absolutely.
letting anything stop them. And to go back a little bit more, let's bring up the Princess and the Frog. That character, Tiana, was beloved by a lot of people. When Disney marketed it, they actually got some flack about casting a quote unquote black princess, which was an animation. Disney did the right thing, just shut up and put the film out there.
Same thing with Brandy playing Cinderella.
Same thing. It was beautiful. It was wonderful. No one thought about it. They just said, you know what? You have this character. She's a young Black woman, and she is working so hard to make her dreams come true.
Absolutely. And Ali'i Cravalho, the voice of Moana, she recently played Ariel in a production for ABC on national television. Nobody cared that she was Polynesian playing Ariel. Nobody cared. It's the way that they've set this up.
Yes, and Queen Latifah was Ursula, and I heard did a bang up job. I'm kind of annoyed she didn't get cast in this.
Yes, I can see her doing very good with Ursula. I did not see that part, but I can definitely see it. Well, Lorena, tell people where they can find you on this great, big, beautiful web if they are so crazy that they have not yet found you and subscribed.
Well, folks, you can find me on Twitter, you can find me on Instagram, and of course, you can find me on YouTube during various videos and live streams about pop culture analysis, watch parties. I do gaming, and of course, I am at the Orlando theme parks on the regular. So I would so appreciate it if you did subscribe to me. And once again, Pro, thank you so much for bringing me on your channel.
Well, it's an honor every time, and it's an honor to share this time with all the people out there who are watching these videos in the audience. Folks, if you like content like it, consider clicking the like button, share, subscribe. You can stick it to the algorithms. When you click it, we're talking about the notification bell. And also, we covet your comments. This is not a dialogue simply between two people, but we are interested in all of your thoughts, good, bad, critical, positive, whatever they might be. Please drop them down below. And folks, make sure to go take a look in that mirror sometime over the next few days and just remind yourself, it doesn't matter your ethnicity, it doesn't matter your background, your gender, your sex. It doesn't matter if you've made big mistakes, little mistakes, if you're highly successful, or if you're in a place that you don't wish to be right now. You are wonderfully made, and you are marvelous. You have infinite worth, and you're the kind of person who can go out there and do awesome things, the kind of person who deserves to be loved and to love yourself. And don't let corporations trick you into feeling differently about others. They're your neighbors, and you love them just as much as you love you. And for those little people, those little kids out there, the little girls and little boys who might be tricked so easily by stuff like this, the best thing you can do is spend time with them and let them know that they are infinitely valuable and deeply, deeply loved. Wherever you are, whatever you're doing, keep growing, keep learning, and keep having fun.
Make sure to catch The Pro Show Thursdays 5 to 7 Eastern Time. Entertainment Explained, The Culture Curve Conquered, live with Pro and all his friends.